Hi, thanks for listening to Crafting Human and being part of our creative tribe. If this conversation resonates with you, please share the episode. Liking and subscribing helps me to keep telling the stories of the creatives who bring soul into our world. If you want me to dive deeper on anything discussed today, let me know in the comments. I'd love to bring those conversations to you in future episodes. Now, on with the show. Hello, today I'm joined by Stephen Cooper, Visionary Design Director and owner of Cooper Pacific Kitchens, a 3-generation Los Angeles studio celebrated for its mastery of bespoke kitchen design and fine craftsmanship. He is a respected member of the Cornue Global Design Council and has played a pivotal role in driving product innovations for the iconic brand. For more than 3 decades, Stephen has shaped some of the world's most refined and soulful culinary spaces, from timeless residential kitchens to sculptural interiors that celebrate how people gather, cook, and connect. His approach blends interior design and artistry, precision and poetry, and transforms cabinetry, light, and materials into experiential choreography of daily life. Guided by an intuitive understanding of how design influences human rituals, Stephen reminds us that the kitchen is far more than functional. It is a living, breathing space of creativity, nourishment, and a place that represents belonging. That it is the heart of the home and a place of human connection. I'm excited today to explore how the spaces where we cook and eat shape who we become and how the rituals of cooking and dining shape the human experience. Welcome to Crafting Human, Stephen.
Thank you, Sharon. So happy to be with you here today.
Thank you. Well, before we dig into the design and all of the different details that go into supporting this kind of what we're calling a ritual of dining and cooking, I would love to just hear from you today. Is there a ritual today that instantly takes you back to your childhood roots?
I would say just being in the kitchen itself is very much feels like that all the time to me. Being in the kitchen is so much about ritual. It's those little moments, whether nowadays for me it's the coffee moment in the morning and waking up and making a cappuccino and going through all that ritual. For Giselle and I. And then that kind of takes me back to your point. One thing that was when I was growing up, we were assigned by my mother that once a week we had to go into the kitchen and craft something, make something.
Really?
Yep. So typically,
what was your specialty?
Typically it was a dessert.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was, baking seemed to be where I kind of landed. Mostly.
Science.
Yeah,
and baking.
Exactly. Yeah. So, cookies, cake, brownies, probably brownies was the favorite thing that I like to make. And I think it was about, if you think about those moments when you're 6 years old and you go in and you're screwing up all the time, you're making mistakes. But it was okay. You throw it in the trash, you start over, you forget an ingredient, you're not measuring correct. So it's all of those moments where I think you're learning to experiment and fail and try again. And it kind of becomes a metaphor for life, where
Absolutely.
it's never give up, keep trying. It's okay. You have a few tears maybe, and your mom's like, it's fine, it's going to be okay. So I think some of those moments still carried through to today where it's like, that didn't work out like I wanted it to, but it's fine. Let's try again.
Oh man, I have many a botched cookie and cake recipes, especially when I try to enter the gluten-free world.
That's a whole, I haven't gone there yet.
It's a whole different kind of a science. So was that kind of part of your family ritual to, in your household, everybody contributed something in the kitchen and?
Yeah, it was, I had 4 siblings, so a family of 6. So it was a busy house growing up. And everyone was expected to contribute in some way, whether it was the weekly cooking endeavors or just the basic, prep, clean up, all that stuff. So it was very much a family event for us. And I still feel that way now where, those moments of special occasions, but just even Sunday morning where we're, each kind of doing our own little thing, but contributing to the overall event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And your family was actually kind of started the whole kitchen business together too, right?
Yep.
Can you
So
share some of that?
my dad was a home builder back in the Midwest, and
Okay.
his favorite room in the house was the kitchen. So we all moved to Southern California in the mid 80s, nearly 40 years ago, and started a kitchen studio. And I was right there with him on day one. I started working for him when I was 14, back in the Midwest.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Working on, building homes in the summer, keeping his books, all these kind of, various things that you do to keep a family business running.
Wow, this is
And-
like really part of your DNA.
Yeah. So 40 years later, here we are, and still going strong.
Yeah, wow. And the family business even carries in through today as
Yes,
well.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I love that. Is there a meal that you all kind of, or maybe a new tradition you all kind of formed with your new?
I would say that it's kind of an area of specialization, I feel like. So I like, just for me personally, I like to be able to make something and make it really well. So my repertoire isn't vast, but what I do really well. So
Okay.
my thing tends to be, the popular one is mushroom risotto. So that's something I enjoy doing. It's again, talking about ritual, it's an event to sit there and babysit it and do all the things you need to do.
There's
And
no microwave fast.
no walking
risotto.
away. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
yeah, not with risotto, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's one of my favorites to make.
Well, I love that because it's, it just represents how like cooking and dining and these things, it's so emotionally connected and represents, like so many different layers to how we connect as human beings, right?
Yeah.
With like creating a sense of belonging and identity and kind of our creature comforts and the things that we sort of carry on with, into our own lives, into the future. And I was wondering if you could maybe share, like, what does this being involved in such a significant space, because I think the adage of the kitchen is the heart of the home is like shared by almost nearly every culture that I know of. How does that feel for you to be part of such a, I would even call it like a sacred space?
Yeah, it is. And, I feel lucky to be involved in this part of the home. There's so many different spaces that people, there's the overall space, but the kitchen is really the showstopper. And it's where life happens. It's messy, it's imperfect, it's perfect at times.
Yeah.
It's the life is a stage in the kitchen, and we all come together there. It's like you and I sitting around the kitchen island now having a nice conversation.
Yeah.
It's all about that to me, and to be able to step into someone's life for that moment, understand what their inspiration is, what they like to do in the kitchen. Do they cook? Do they not cook?
Yeah.
It's always my hope that they're involved in the kitchen, and maybe I can help create a space that inspires them to take on some of those experimentations and or just carry on with their rituals that they've developed. So I feel like it's such a privilege to be able to design those spaces and create space, and it's where people learn agency for the first time, of that kind of like we were talking about earlier, where it is like that first step, as hopefully as a younger kid, you're experimenting and you're taking ownership of that little thing, and finding out what it means to succeed and fail and try again. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to really create those individualized spaces that work for them. Yeah.
You've been doing this most of your life and career. But every home is so different. And what have been some of the kind of surprises you've encountered or knew, like, oh, I didn't know this kind of a ritual existed? I'm sure even still today you get, you're pleasantly surprised by a new.
Very much so. I think, and living in LA, you can just come across everything, every culture, every imaginable nuance, and even cultures coming together in one home and crafting moments where they both have their spaces, and you've got bakers, you've got cooks, you've got different kinds of spices and ways of storing spices and ingredients, and some people are all about the fresh food, and I don't need a lot of pantry space, and some people are, we use the freezer, some don't. So it's really getting into someone's head and their lifestyle, and really like, what is it that makes you tick? What is it that inspires you? How is this going to work for you? And it is, there's always something new. I learn something new every day, and I love it. It's a never-ending quest to just broaden the scope of everything that I know.
How have you, and I think what you said is so key to like achieving, helping your clients to achieve a successful home and a kitchen, right? Is there's a bit of that understanding their entire life and needs and, just day-to-day rituals, like for you with the coffee thing, and definitely a coffee thing for me as well, right? You have your stations, you have your ways and all that kind of stuff, but how are you kind of like immersing yourself into the, all the nuances that are involved, for each individual home?
Yeah, I think, it's listening, it's studying, it's understanding, again, the architecture of a home is one thing, being mindful of that stylistically. There is a little bit of license to play within that box, I think. But also, it's talking about appliances, it's talking about materials, it's talking about the hand of something. I love natural materials that tell a story. The kitchen to me should have a history.
Yeah.
And when you leave, it shouldn't feel sterile. Like we talk about the heart of the home as a kitchen, but it's the soul of the home. It's the where command and control, if you will, for a lot of people.
Control center.
Yeah. So it has that kind of right brain, left brain, hard, soft combinations that you have to play with, I think, to get it just right. And I think the materials should tell a story. It's about the provenance of something. It's about the history of something. And so many memories are tied to the kitchen. I think the materials have memory as well.
Yeah.
And I look at a marble top, and I love that there's a stain on there, because that was a great event that we had that night. And so-and-so spilled their wine, and we all laughed afterwards. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Let it breathe, let it live. It's what we're doing. We're creating life in the kitchen. We're nourishing ourselves, not just physically, but emotionally connecting with people. So it's all about that to me. There's so much tied up in that, I think, that it's a deep and vast playground, I think, with all those things involved.
So good. And I love how you're talking about materials having like that memory, right? Because you're right. I think there's an aspect of, in the design of a kitchen, people want this like durable, low maintenance aspect, which of course there's definitely validity to that. But there's also those moments where you remember something, like you said, like, oh, like the wine spilled here and that's why we have a little thing, or something fell and it like chipped something, or, and at first you kind of see that as a disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster. Get the company to come out and resurface it all. But then also at the same time, to your point, there's a beauty of seeing something age. Yeah. Like a really beautiful natural, this countertop here is like gorgeous. And to see it age over time and oxidize, and there's sort of that natural process you're working with. Yeah. How much of that craftsmanship and that mindset has really like helped sort of guide how you've grown your business?
I think I have a lot of respect of the hand of the maker, and I think people, this day and age has gotten very fast, right? It's so much technology, and there's, the AI is coming on and becoming even more like we're trying to understand what this all means. And then you go back to some simplicity things like, again, like I said, the hand of the maker, the way there's craftsmanship, there's someone that's touched this and worked it and sanded it and finished it and applied a patina to it possibly, or it's just a finish that's going to wear over time and take on its own character. And again, it's, when life is happening in a space, it should reflect our lives in that space.
Yeah, I totally agree. We know that there's so much there's form and then there's function,
Yep.
right? So but in the kitchen especially, and I love how you reference it, it's like a left brain, right brain in totality kind of happening in a kitchen space. Can you talk about maybe some really good aspects of kitchen design that absolutely is critical to supporting this really beautiful, emotionally connecting human experiences that want to happen, but almost needs to happen in a way that it feels like intuitively like designed, that because when it's not done well, then you really know it's not done well.
I mean, good design is really invisible, I think, and it shouldn't feel. It should just be intuitive. It should feel natural, especially in a kitchen. A kitchen is a working space.
Yeah.
But we expect more than that. We expect this grand, beautiful feeling to envelop us. And I think also good design is about creating emotion in a space. And you should have a feeling when you walk into a space. And it should feel inspirational, but it should all feel safe in a kitchen to, all right, throw the stuff on the countertop.
Yeah.
What are we going to make tonight? And that sense of experimentation, but also done smartly, where things have a place and it's organized in a way where the workflow doesn't become about where is this. It's I can think about what's on the counter in front of me on the stove, and I can just reach for this and that, and it's right where I need it. So I really think about the human factors part of this,
Absolutely.
about how a space should function.
Yeah.
And then so that's the sort of maybe going back to my baking, it's the chemistry part of this, right?
Yeah.
The science of a kitchen.
Yeah.
But then how do you warm that up through wonderful materials and good design and thoughtful details and really paying attention to how things come together. Again, it's kind of like cooking. All those ingredients come together to make a beautiful dish at the end, but really crafting a great kitchen is the same way. So you have all these different materials that you can play with, together, and then bringing all these materials together and intersecting them in ways that are thoughtful, are mindful, and beautiful at the end of the day. But there's always function in there.
Absolutely. I totally agree. What is a design detail you think is often goes unnoticed, that people wouldn't even consider as so important to this kind of a thing? Is there one thing that maybe a particular detail that stands out for you?
I think it's all about the smart placement of things. And often that's in the inside of the cabinet. You don't see that. You walk into a space and, this lovely space. But then when you start working in a kitchen, then that's where I think a lot of that effort comes to bear, is that I open that drawer and it's like, that's where I thought it would be.
Yes.
I want to be someone to walk into a kitchen and never been in there before, and within 5 minutes, they can actually be working and know where everything is.
Yeah.
So that's thoughtful design because we all, the cool thing about a kitchen is we all have sort of a similar way of, I think, organizing ourselves in a space like that and making it work.
Yeah.
So there are some things that I think done well should be hidden, and then they just reveal themselves.
Yeah. It's interesting because most people I don't think like you're saying, I want to just go back really quick on what you're saying with the design being invisible in a kitchen. It's so true because initially especially in your showroom, I came in, I was like, this is so beautiful. But when you're actually in a space that's supposed to function, you kind of appreciate all the little details that make it work. And and I almost feel like in a way, when you know how well it works, you just say how much you love the design, right? Because it's solves all the problems that you didn't think you were going to encounter. And then you're like, where's this thing? And where do I put this? And there's no space for it. And I wish I had figured out how to, what have been some of those, have you ever had conversations with clients who come back and said, this isn't working for us? Can you, and it wouldn't even have to necessarily be your own design, but where they say, we need to rethink how we're doing this. And
I think that happens a lot, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
More often than not.
Yeah, and that's part of what drives this whole process is we do talk about, tell me about what you hate about your kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to know the things that aren't working for it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that rarely happens because we go through such an exhaustive process.
Yeah.
And really think about all those things. So it doesn't happen often when we have completed space. If it does, then we address it. It's usually like, that maybe was a lifestyle thing I didn't understand, or it was a a particular function. Usually it's a small thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I thought I wanted the push to open, but now I lean up against it and all my doors pop out. So those are the things also we learn as we go. I think
so
being
true,
in this
yeah.
business, that it's like, no, I don't think you want that, and here's why. So a lot of that, having done this for 40 years, we've learned a lot of the things that people sometimes think they want, but then we can talk through that and say, well, here's what's going to happen. We can do that, but here's the consequences of A versus B, and then we can walk through it, and then just about making informed decisions for them that fits what they want to do.
That's so true. I mean, when you as soon as you said, oh, when you lean up in there and then the drawer's always popping open, I have the same thing in my house right now.
Yeah.
It bugs
It's
me every
so
time
annoying.
every time I wash
it.
the dishes, my knees bump
Yeah.
into the cabinet door, and it's a magnetic touch latch, so it's always popping
Yeah.
open.
There's a time and a place for those,
Right.
but throughout the entire kitchen, it's terrible.
It's
You can't lean up and have a conversation, and you're drinking a glass of wine, and you walk away, and everything's popping open. And
it's so true.
That's where I think sometimes the technology gets in the way. And I think that can really happen. So sometimes the simple thing is the best thing.
Yeah.
And that's, a big part of trying to take all these developments that we have and these cool things and saying, okay, let's not make this another gadget.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's useful, but kind of invisible at the same time, So I think there's so many new things out there in terms of the appliance world, and this is the AI thing that's kind of chirping in the back of our ears about how are we going to do this? Is there going to be robots in our kitchen? Mm-hmm. Maybe, but I think that the touch of the human hand is always going to rule in the kitchen.
I totally agree. Have you had families come back and say, tell you stories about what the kitchen has done for them and what this renovation did for them? And
it happens all the time.
Really?
I love getting that feedback. Yeah. A client that we did a kitchen for, is probably 3 or 4 years ago now, just reached out to me a few days ago, and she's like, you guys got to come by. And we said, let's make some bread. I'm going to bring Margot, who's my doodle. She's got Morty, which is her doodle, and they love playing together. And it's fun to go back and be in her new space, and she loves it. And she talks about how it's made such a difference for her, not only in the terms of just the refresh of the visual aspect of things, but how it works and how it's actually making her life better and more enjoyable to be in that space. And again, it's the ritual, it's the bringing the family together to have those moments. Yeah. And that's super rewarding to hear that. And that happens so often where people come back and just like, I am so in love, like I wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't change a thing. I love hearing that comment from clients.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing. I know, I love hearing that from clients so much. They're like, I love everything about it. I wouldn't change a single thing. And
it's fantastic.
It makes you feel like you've really, heard your clients.
And just the joy in their voice when they say that. It's very like genuine and true.
Right?
For them. Yeah.
Well, and with the whole idea, it's interesting because we do talk about so many things that happen over the kitchen table or at the bar. And even when we were, prior to this conversation, the podcast, we had even talked about how there's so many aspects of like the joy in the heart of the home. But it's interesting. I loved it when you actually brought up the idea of like the conversations that can be sad and like the grief that also happens in the homes. And it happens in the kitchens too, right? Like the heartache.
I think more than anywhere.
Right, the heartache, the sadness, and
it's the entire range of the human emotion happens there. Mm-hmm. It's whether it's forget the dinner process, it's over. You're just sitting around the kitchen island.
Yeah.
Because it holds space for those moments of conversation, of heartbreak, of sadness, of rejoice, of celebration. It's champagne, it's and it's the other end of things as well. And I think all of those things, and if you go back in your memories and you think about some of those things that have happened, so much of it was in the kitchen.
It absolutely was.
And thinking about how do we hold space for that? How do we design a space with not just food in mind, but the human experience, the family experience.
Yeah.
That one-on-one moment, the 5-on-2 moments, you know, that all of that happening, whether it's singing happy birthday or, you know, mourning something that makes us sad. So I think all of those things happen there, and it's an intense place where, again, it's heart, it's soul, it's all of those emotions wrapped up.
Do you recall a moment where you kind of had that epiphany after a project where you thought, wow, this is so much more than just a kitchen?
I think recently I remember a client building a massive home in Brentwood, you know, 12,000 square foot home, her and her husband. You know, the kids are growing up, empty nesters. And she said, the only reason I'm doing this home is because my architect is making me have a living room and a family room and a den. It's like, there's only 3 rooms that matter to me in this house. It's the kitchen, my closet, and my bedroom. The rest of the rooms I don't care about. And they were done exquisitely. It was amazing. The amount of, but she's like, I'm not going to go in there. But it's those spaces that are really holding life for her that matter. Yeah. And it's always the kitchen.
Yeah, it is always the kitchen.
Yeah. And it's, I think the makeup of that space means so much to everyone.
It does. Was there a moment in your own personal life where, you know, when you were working with your dad and building up the business that you thought, you know, this is such a privilege to be part of something like this?
I think you know, I've done a lot of things for the business over those 40 years. I've been in every aspect of that, but getting into the design and having the ability to craft those spaces, working one-on-one with someone and making that space truly unique theirs. And that's the great thing and the terrible thing about this business is everything we do is a one-off. Yeah. Everything we do is for that person alone. There's no repeatability. There's nothing. Everything is recreated again, and that's wonderful. But that's also, there's a bandwidth that we have, right? So it's not scalable in, you know, giant degrees because of that, and that's okay. You know, this is a very intimate experience, I think, to create spaces that are meaningful. Yeah. And I think, and that's where that magic happens. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, definitely. Sometimes then it's just over a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And doesn't, like you said, doesn't have to be a big 10-course meal. And I mean, granted, those amazing dinner parties are also awesome, but sometimes it is, like you said,
just
these
like
intimate,
some wine and cheese and
sit, come over, and you know, I think that's like the love language of definitely my mom. Have you eaten? You know, it's the have you eaten question.
Right, yeah. Have another piece of pie.
Have another piece. Eat more. No, I'm full. No, more.
But I still remember my grandma teaching me how to make her noodles. You know, there was no recipe, and I was just like trying to write it down, and she was just,
she's like, it's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, right?
You just feel it. You'll just see how that feels. I was like, yeah, sure. I had no idea what she was talking about, but just her, again, that sort of autopilot. But it was also therapy for her. She loved doing it for the family. Yeah. It was so important for her to be able to do that. And it was fun. You know, it was work, but it's fun. Yeah. And it's rewarding.
You know, when you're talking about the feeling, do you feel it? How it feels different? It really is. It's interesting because now that, you know, we're having this conversation, it's all these emotions and senses. It's totally all encompassing. Yeah. And I find it, like you're saying, it is really therapeutic because it is about the senses. It's about the touch. It's about the smell, right? You have
the taste, the waft of that smell. Like,
it just turned. It's not. It's burning. Get into the oven, you know. And all of that's all in the kitchen, and it's amazing. And I feel like it's such a peek into all the different. Kind of being in, I feel like it's such an invitation as well to be, and an invitation and a privilege as well to be part of these, the development of these spaces. I wanted to kind of shift a little bit here and talk about like all of the different clients you've had in your lifetime.
Okay.
And all the different cultures you've encountered. I mean, LA alone, like you said, has every kind of different culture.
Isn't it? It's amazing. I love it here.
It's
Yeah.
such an amazing melting pot. I do
Yeah.
love it very much.
Yeah.
It's one of probably the reasons why I love the food scene here so much as well.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any kind of universal gestures or kind of common languages or kind of things that happen in the kitchen that sort of transcends, language and culture?
I think from a very big perspective, it's just how food unites us in ways that do transcend our differences.
Yeah.
There's, and now it's even exploded with all the different types of diets that are out there with gluten-free and keto and this and that and all the other kind of things,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you kind of erase all of that and just get back down to the basics of it, and that's really what it's about, is I think there's this giant umbrella of all these different things and ways to accomplish a space and everyone's different diets. But at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
about that moment of breaking bread.
Yeah.
It's about the nourishment that brings us, but also the moment of spirituality, if you will, the moment of connection.
Yeah.
And I think that's the universal part of that, is there's a togetherness, there's a bringing together of this space that crosses all boundaries.
Yeah.
It gets down to the very basic form of things.
That's so true. It really gets down to sort of distills it down to sort of these very fundamental human things, right?
Yeah.
Like community and belonging and forming of a sense of identity about oneself through food, culture, family traditions, right?
Yeah.
And
that sense of experimentation really as well. It's, we talked about that a little bit earlier, where it is a bit of a metaphor for life. I think that is the kitchen in a nutshell. It is all about that. It's from being little in the kitchen and trying things, and you're on the step stool and you can barely reach the countertop and there's flour everywhere and it's a mess.
yeah.
But it's cleaned up and you move on, right? And if it's great, you celebrate it. If it's not, there's maybe a few tears and you try again. And again, I think that goes across all party lines, all cultural lines, that sense of agency, that sense of belonging to something bigger.
Yeah, belonging. And I would even say it's like lays a foundation for like trust, safety in a home, right? And I mean, for sure, like don't touch the hot oven safety, but also that deep emotional safety of it's okay to try something here. And I mean, I've certainly made some not so great meals in my life.
Haven't we all? There's been colossal failures and wonderful successes.
Yeah, definitely. Where I'm like, okay, that didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to, but I guess we'll just eat it.
Yeah. And I think too, especially teenagers growing up, it's such a tough time,
Yeah.
But seeing a kid get into the kitchen and they're going to make their special thing for the family, for whatever the occasion might be. And
Mother's Day, birthdays, anniversaries.
Getting them off of the video game and coming in there and okay, let's set aside all that and let's get our hands dirty and mix this up and crack some eggs and do whatever we're going to do. And
do your children your children do things like that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And getting them, it's a good chance to unplug really. And I think that's also what it's nice too, where all of that goes away, all the noise kind of stops. You put on some great jazz music or open a bottle of wine, and that becomes there's all these little bits and pieces that I personally like to bring into that moment of the music, a bottle of wine, you're in there together, and everything else kind of melts away for that moment. And it's noisy and it's chaotic and there's scents that are developing and and it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's so funny about you saying that, the noise and the chaos and all of that. And that totally takes me back to when my family were Korean and everything happens around meals.
Yeah.
It's huge spreads of food. Literally, my mom cooks for the size of an army sometimes, and there would be only 5 of us, right? And then it's oh, okay, well, you have so much food. Let's call, aunt and uncle and friend, and then next thing you know, you have a dinner party that wasn't really scheduled, but people are all coming over. Oh yeah, okay, we're on our way home. We'll just pop over, and these sort of like spontaneous gatherings happen. And
But think about that too, because like growing up, there's always somebody's house on the block.
Yeah.
Where everyone always ended up.
Yeah.
And it was often somehow related to something happening in the kitchen.
100%. And oftentimes I recall even my mom saying, "Oh, there's too many people in the kitchen. Get out." And it would, but for whatever reason, no matter even how small the kitchen was, people would always gather there.
Yeah.
You're standing around holding the food and you're sampling, and then someone else comes in and, "Oh, I want to taste." And little pockets of conversations are also happening. Everyone's standing around in the kitchen, and eventually you get shooed out like, "Oh, too many people,
Yeah.
get out. We can't cook now." And that kind of thing. It's so, you're right. It's like totally just a shared kind of experience that happens across the board.
Yeah, I was talking to a client in Miami, and a big custom project. So they had two kitchens, which is becoming more and more common. So it's the dirty kitchen and then the show kitchen.
Yeah.
And that can take different forms. Sometimes it's the Chinese kitchen, it's the catering kitchen. You know, there's all kinds of different ways, but basically a clean and dirty kitchen.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, as we talked about planning these two spaces, in the dirty kitchen, there was two requirements that he had. One was a pizza oven and some kind of an ice cream machine. And so we started talking about that, and he said, well, it's all about me and the kids at about 11:30 at night, going in there on a Friday or Saturday night, sitting down, making pizza, having ice cream, and being in the dirty kitchen. So we had to craft room for he and the 2 or 3 kids to make space for that to happen.
Yeah.
And just picturing that, that moment, it like the entire space was designed around thinking about that time
How
together.
to make those kinds of moments happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Do you think, though, that with the kind of that clean and dirty kitchen and some homes having personal chefs, right? Do you feel like sometimes that the introduction of this like personal chef and maybe the family's not necessarily cooking, does that add a different kind of dynamic into the kitchen?
It does. It becomes a little less personal because a lot of times that person's not available to access. You might have a conversation with them, but they're oftentimes not involved in the planning of that. So that's where I think experience and intuition sort of kick in as well.
Sure.
So you can start creating spaces. It's maybe done a little differently knowing there's a chef in mind. So we might change the appliance makeup a little bit, thinking of how they might want to work in terms of refrigeration, cooking, getting the proper equipment in there.
Making it more of a high performance kitchen.
But often I'm finding that chef is with the kids.
Oh,
So
you're right.
there is a little
You're
bit of
absolutely right.
a
Yes.
crossover there where the kids will be in there. There might be a TV in the space to keep them entertained, but they're also playing in the kitchen and making
They're kind
things.
of making brownies and cookies.
So at the end of the day,
helping with-
maybe it's not that much different. It's
Yeah.
just a different dynamic that's
Yeah.
happening there.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, one of the things that I have noticed for sure is that, you know, that aspect of like the soul in the design, you know, comes out through the craftsmanship. It comes out through these little details and the materiality. How have you, as Cooper Pacific Kitchen, gone about, you know, what's your approach or your strategy in who you're partnering with and, you know, the makers and even Cabinet, which the kitchen we're sitting in right now, like how did you go, what is maybe your strategy for how you're approaching and why you're selecting these particular makers and vendors?
I think for a number of reasons, you can never stay static. It's basically how everything dies at some point is by not adjusting and by not moving along with trends, time, and not following trends necessarily, but being mindful of where the market is headed, you know.
Yeah.
And that could be architectural trends, it could be material trends, it's our way of living, it's applying, all these things drive those trends. But I think it's always looking what's next. And maybe that's also personally part of me. I don't want to get bored.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm super curious. What's that? I want to know about this.
Yeah.
Tell me about this material. It's something new. all of that is always, I'm super curious about those kind of things. So I'm always this thirst for knowing what else is out there.
Yeah.
Materials that are good, bad, some I like, some I don't. I always gravitate towards natural materials, but also then bringing in the hand of, metal workers. So going back to one of the earliest forms of handwork that we have, you're thinking of, just the introduction of metals into the human experience.
Yeah.
Now, how do we take that? They're hard, but how do we soften it with other materials? And there's an example right here where you've got this metal sliding door, but it's creating a design moment. It's a way to conceal spaces and bring spaces in and out of the room. And yeah, I think you mentioned Cabinet earlier. That's a brand that we've now introduced to the West Coast. I really love all of the material aspects of it, everything that I can do as a designer, and just everyone seems to really enjoy and love and appreciate the fact that we can bring all of these disciplines, human disciplines together, leatherworking, metalworking, woodworking, working with stone, and create pretty unique spaces with that.
It always, every time I'm working on a project, and we worked together on projects as well, and every time, and it doesn't matter how many projects I do, I'm just so blown away by how many people and makers and specialists that you collaborate with to make something happen in a space, especially on this kind of really refined and distinctive level, and when we met, it was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you could do this with metal in a kitchen. I didn't know you could do this with, a leather detail. And there's just so many people involved in the process that collaborate together and, work together to make this really beautiful space happen we're designing it and there's the aesthetics and the function and all of it, but to have that experience for the people who are then going to be living and breathing with that space, it's really always made.
And I really am always looking for talented makers, people who are at the top of their game, at the top of their craft, trying to have alignments. This, for example, so Barstool. I was talking to Thomas Hayes. He came in, and we had some other stools here, so we started, and I wasn't real happy with them. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's just the way he's made these, where this, has this rotating back in it, and the shearling covers, and.
Well, I got to tell you, the shearling cover, one of the things, this is not the kitchen, but still, I want to talk about it, but the shearling cover, I love that he strapped it to the bottom because it'll slide off, right? And I thought that was so smart. It was a little detail I noticed. I didn't know that he did it, so I'll have to mention it to him when I see him later.
And just, again, as a guy that's out there crafting things, experimenting with things, we talk together about how many things have ended up in the trash heap, but that's just part of the process, but taking those risks and aligning myself with people that are out there in that world, whether it's Thomas here, Cabinet, some of the other makers that we work with, really having great partnerships with people who are just passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm always looking for. And I think, again, that's where you start creating this space for all these people to come together. And more people are involved in the kitchen than any other room in the home. Everybody touches it, whether it's plumbing, electrician, lighting. Lighting alone is such an important part of it. It needs to work, but let's dial it back when the cooking is done and we just want to have a glass of wine. So all of that becomes super important. And again, we said earlier, a bit invisible if done well.
Yeah, if done well, it's invisible and feels really intuitive. Well, your business is 3 generations of your family, your father, you, and your children, right?
Yeah.
How do you see these kind of like the parallels of, family rituals in the kitchen and at home? How have you seen some of that carry over into how you all work as a family together in business? Are there any kind of business rituals that you've implemented?
I think one thing we've learned, and it's a bit like being in a kitchen, honestly, is everyone has a role to play. There's, if you want to kind of break it down, there's the chef, the sous chef, all these different people that have a distinct function and that they
Yeah.
need to do.
Yeah.
And we can kind of mechanize it in that way. And, you know, so you break it down, we have these roles, we all have our distinct responsibilities, but then there is a coming together
Yeah.
at the same time
Yeah.
where it's you kind of like, all right, let's set all that aside. It's, you know, 5 o'clock, let's sit down. We got some things to talk about, some ideas that we want to
Family
share.
meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, again, it's, it is a family that's owning and operating a business. And, you know, we treat it that way, but we also treat it like a business.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have the ability to sort of code switch, compartmentalize things.
Sure.
And all of those skills become very important.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter says to me sometimes, she's like, it's so nice to see you outside of work. Because then I've switched into this other person.
Yeah.
But here I need to do, be a certain way and do a certain thing. And I've got roles to fulfill here. So yeah, we're a family, and, you know, I'll give her a hug in the morning, but, you know, she calls me Steven and I call her Brittany. And, you know, but then on the weekend it's Daddy. So it's funny how those things just sort of naturally, it just happens without thinking. Yeah.
It's funny. Another one of my guests, she's kind of my resident psychology expert. We were talking about, you know, boundaries of home and work and all kinds of things. And especially for people who work from home, my husband and I, we both work from home sometimes, you know, and she said, you know, you could even institute this ritual where you both, before you both leave into your office, you give each other a kiss, see you later, have fun at work, right? And you kind of just make this kind of a delineation of, like you're saying, the code switching, right? It's a delineation of that, this is work and this is home. And but what I really love is that it's kind of, the kitchen is the heart of the home, it's the represents the family, and how that passion together collectively as a unit also comes into your business is something that I really admire.
And, you know, it's funny too, because there's the code switching, but then you never really turn it all off or all on.
Of course, yeah.
The business is always at home. The family is always here. And somehow it's just this melting pot of emotions and relationship that just, we make it work. It works.
Yeah. It is very much, you're totally right. There's so much symbolic metaphors and analogies of kitchen, cooking, food, recipes, family, business.
And at the end, you kind of boil it down, and just on a sort of a base level, it's like, oh yeah, that does work. It all makes sense when you really think of it that way. I like that.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
What is your favorite material to work with, and one you secretly wish would disappear forever?
Favorite material to work with? I love working with stone, natural stone.
Okay.
It's kitchen art, I think.
Totally agree.
It's taking a material that is sort of unforgiving and working with that, crafting with that. We've got a new display coming here in the first quarter where we're working with a lot of stone and curves and shapes and making something special out of a hard material but softening it. Wood, of course, but stone is kind of like the heart and soul.
If you just get a beautiful slab. I mean, some people don't like the veining, but I personally love the drama of veining. And it doesn't even have to be a high color contrast. It could just be really subtle, but the veining and the movement.
You know, back here we've taken that, stone from the countertop, wrapped it up inside, just again for another layer, another celebration of a material. And I think that let's celebrate materials. Let's celebrate nature and
let the natural things shine through as their natural way, right?
What do I wish would go away? That's a good one. Just plain boring, unsoulful materials. And there's probably several within that, but I want something that inspires me.
Yeah. All right, we won't name anything. We don't want to shame anyone. Because there's some materials that come to mind for me as well. What do you think is the most underrated detail in a kitchen?
Underrated detail in a kitchen is probably the details themselves. So thinking about the line of something and how a veneer is laid up. It shouldn't, if you notice it, you made a mistake. So it's the nuance of things, and I'll notice it. You would probably notice it. But again, I think it should be a bit of an invisible thing, that it's how things come together. And you just walk in a space and it's like, you look around and, wow, this is really pretty. This
Yeah.
is very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know why.
Yeah.
Then that's a win.
Totally agree. If kitchens could talk, what would yours at home say about you?
Oh my gosh. I think it would be about human emotion, human experience. It's love. It's
Yeah.
togetherness.
Yeah.
It's risk, reward,
Yeah.
try and try again.
Yeah.
It's again, it's that metaphor of life.
Yeah.
Life happens here. It's real. It's authentic. Yeah.
Is there a smell or a taste from the kitchen that instantly takes you back to the favorite childhood memory?
Bacon and eggs.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Just growing up, I was lucky. My mom, every morning was breakfast, hot breakfast.
Wow.
She was a school teacher, so she had to be at school, same time we did, probably earlier even. But it was, 6 a.m., like wake up. But that smell of food would actually get me out of bed. I'm not a morning person, so that actually helped. It was, whatever she was making, pancakes, French toast, bacon and eggs, something. And every morning.
Bacon and eggs every morning, or a hot
I know,
breakfast
like
at
I
any
don't do
time.
that.
You and I don't do that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's definitely, right, wiping the crust out of your eyes and here's a hot plate of food. It was amazing.
That's, oh my gosh, I love that.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. Well, finish this sentence. A well-designed kitchen should always...
make you walk in and just say, ah.
I love it. I walked into the showroom and I did that, to be honest. I was like, oh, so beautiful, and it feels so cozy.
Yeah.
It's not even mine.
It should bring a smile to your face.
Yeah.
It should inspire you. That should, make you say, ah. And honestly, linger. A good space should make you linger.
Yeah. There is definitely so much, you're just saying all the right words. Like there is so much lingering that does happen in kitchens.
Everything is so fast, It's like go. I'm right there with everybody else. It's the phone, it's the apps, it's everything like buzzing in our ear. And let's slow down for a minute. And
the kitchen is such a perfect place for that. Like slow cooking, like everything doesn't have to be like, 30 seconds in the microwave and done, right?
Yeah. I got rid of the microwave. No more microwave in my kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I love that. My husband's trying to get me to get rid of it too. And he's like, it's not even good for us. I was like, no, you're right. I should stop.
Yeah.
So we have been actually slow cooking most of the time lately.
Yeah.
And the microwave is more for like, okay, I forgot to thaw the chicken.
Right, yeah.
I was like, but I love that. There's so much, I could just tell there's so much heart and soul in what you're doing. And
I love what I do.
Even this concept of like, the idea of rituals was something that, when I brought it to you, I just knew you'd be like the right person to have this conversation with. And so appreciate your insights and
oh, this was fun. Thanks for coming in today,
personal stories
Sharon,
you brought to the table. Thank you. And I feel like all we needed was a little cup of tea and
we got some wine right behind us.
Right behind us, yeah. But thank you, and I hope this encourages the listeners to really understand kind of the weight and the invitation into what's being asked to be created when we're thinking about the kitchen.
Yeah.
So
it's not just a bunch of cabinets in the room. It's so much more than that. There is a lot of weight, really, and a lot of responsibility. Yeah. Because of everything that happens there, the bar is set very high.
Yeah.
To do it well.
Yeah, to do it well, and to make it a space that allows all of the range of life to happen in it, right?
Yeah. And that's a successful space in my mind.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
I so appreciated this discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to join our creative tribe. Follow, like, and subscribe to help this community grow. Your support helps me to tell the stories of the creatives who bring soul to our world and create meaningful experiences. Thank you for being here and keeping the circle of creativity alive and connected. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you.